Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Growth Frequency. My today's guest is John Drysdale from NoGuru. Hi, John. To kick things off, how do you usually explain what you do at NoGuru when someone asks?
I usually use the words "do you know how?" It's something we teach people is to rather give you a job title or try some sort of description, use the words "do you know how?" So I usually say something like, "Do you know how leaders are sometimes a bit stuck and they lack clarity and purpose and they're working in really complex environments and ambiguity? What I do is I help them navigate through that. And that's why I work as a coach, an executive coach, a facilitator, and a trainer. And that's why I love working with those executives because I feel I can really help them. So that's I don't know how that sounds, but that's usually the way I introduce things. Because if you say coach, people just sort of glaze over, or if you say you're a consultant even. So it's one of the things I try and help people do is to express what they do and why they do it. What's their purpose?
Can you share a bit about your background? Have you been a coach your whole career, or how did you end up coaching?
Yeah, it's good. It's a good question, Laura. I drifted from one career to another, not being particularly successful in any field. I was a chemist for a while. I was something called a cargo surveyor, so I used to go on ships and measure oil tankers, and I worked in the Middle East and did all that. I was a civil servant for the UK government for a while, and it was during that period actually I got a chance to become part of the training team. It was something I did actually enjoy. I thought they had some really cool trainers, and I loved their personalities and the way that they were able to engage the audience. And I thought, I wonder how you get into that field. And as luck would have it, that a vacancy came up, and I applied for that. And I never looked back after that. That became my career, and they were brilliant because they sent you on all the train the trainer courses, how adults learn, facilitation skills, how to do things like role play, which everyone really enjoys, obviously. Role playing skills, how to design training, which stood me in good stead when I moved into training management and managed other trainers. And what that did, it gave me a bit of a methodology, I suppose, to take almost any topic and then try and build a really engaging learning environment around that and build session plans and exercise and things that really worked. And it was something I tried to instill in my training teams. And I suppose that's then helped me become a consultant, particularly, if it's not off the shelf stuff, which I very rarely do. They usually come and say, John, can you design a session on selling in the international student recruitment market or something like that? And then it's, trying to recruit students internationally. I'm always able to come up with something, but it's grounded in all that stuff I learned so long ago. So that was great for my career.
What is something people often misunderstand about your work or your approach?
Good question. Let me think about that a second. I think I suppose one of my frustrations, if I can share that, is maybe that off the shelf thing that they want a sort of quick answer to something and there's a ready-made solution and that you just train some people and then automatically they will become more effective or better. And it's not to say that training doesn't have an impact, it will do, but I much prefer that space where you're sort of invested in the relationship with the client and you say, well, okay, what is it you're trying to achieve here? And aside from, standing in a room full of people delivering something, what's the value add and how can we make sure that that has an impact on what you want to do, but also how it fits in with your strategy. So it's usually one of the first questions I ask is, do they have a strategy? Or I'll go on the website or whatever, see, do they have a strategy? Do they have values? Is there a people plan? So I'm fully informed, and then whatever I do feeds into that. So I guess that's one of the things. If that's a misconception, yeah, that might be my best example of that. I suppose a little bit of a frustration, I suppose.
Are you seeing clients becoming more sophisticated in what they expect from a coach, or are they more confused by the amount of noise?
Another good question. A bit of both. I think there's obviously a lot of competition now, so there's lots of people out there in that coaching, consulting, training space. So they can kind of have the pick. So I suppose they're becoming a bit more methodical. Certainly in these kind of more formal opportunities that are published, like tenders and proposals and things, requests for proposal. I noticed they're very specific on certain things, maybe that they weren't a few years ago. And at the other end of the scale, sometimes they're just confused. They know they have some sort of people issue, or there's a challenge they're trying to address, and they're just looking for help, which I'm always happy to do. So yeah, I think you're right. I'm thinking that one through. I think possibly a bit more sophistication coming in there, a bit more due diligence as well around coaching and what you provide, and the evidence of your track record and your success. So yeah, you made me think of that question, but I think it's a bit of a mixed bag.
A lot of coaches talk about busy work overwhelm, creating content nonstop for social media, doing manual outreach, doing
Yeah,
fulfillment. Do you
yeah.
feel like that's impacting the market as well? And how are you managing that balance?
Yeah, another great question. Yes, I recognize that, and I recognize it in myself. I actually enjoy producing content. That's not a chore for me. So it's more of a time management thing. I just need to manage my time with that and make sure I'm not so invested in that I'm not doing the other things. So there's a couple of things there. I think it is about being structured in your time management, how much time you have to invest. I think people forget that, how much time you have to invest to then bring more clients on board. And you can go through that famine and feast where you've got lots of work on, but you haven't done the spade work to be able to generate new clients. So that's a phenomenon. In terms of producing content, yeah, it's fairly easy now. We've got loads of tools at our disposal. We've got artificial intelligence. We've got amazing tools like Canva and all these things, which I'm using much more these days. I do enjoy putting nice content together, nice videos, or an article or whatever. And it's almost always based on my own experience. So it's something that's happened during my day, or something I've been working with a client on. And clients often say something interesting. One of my clients the other day, she was talking about sufficiency, which was an interesting word. You know how sometimes we are perfectionists, and we maybe over egg something, or we go way above and beyond what's actually necessary. So we're talking about things being sufficient, and that stuff is good enough. That done is better than perfect. So I've got this notion about sufficiency as a video. So can we in our work be sufficient and be time, manage our time better? So sometimes it's just like a client says something interesting, you go, oh, that's an interesting word, sufficiency. Can I turn that into something? And generally gets great feedback. People come back and that's an interesting concept, John. Never thought about that before. So it's all around us. The content is all around us every day. It's just about managing your time in terms of how much time do you want to spend on that. Because I could quite happily sit here and make videos and write articles, but it's about you have to get stuff done at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. And what I've seen is that when like one company or one person has an issue or something that they're struggling with inside the business, or then usually others really resonate with it. So once we turn like real problems into content, then people get it, because usually the problems are more or less the same within different companies. So
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's spot on with that. If I look at my coaching work, especially, people are all individuals. They've got different circumstances, and don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of recurring themes there.
mhm.
Which immediately resonate. If you turn that into a video or a blog of some description, it does resonate, because we're all human. We all have those problems.
What is something that has been going really well for you lately, business wise?
Yeah, coaching's been great. Getting lovely feedback on that. In fact, I just had an email today, lady saying John has been transformative for my leadership journey. That's just lovely. So I think over the last couple of weeks I've had lots of little snippets like that, which have made me feel good. I've also enjoyed working with smaller businesses who don't always have access to like corporate style training or an executive coach. And I've run a couple of in-person seminars recently, just giving them some good skills to help them grow their business, and they've been amazing. We did a seminar called Win That Pitch, which was all about how do you present your business, and if you have 10 minutes in front of people, like how do you structure that presentation, and how do you get them to buy into you and your business. And that was amazing. Some people said that was a game changer about the way they presented, and they were sending me little videos of the presentation they'd done to the business networking groups and things. And then we followed that up with Seal the Deal, which is all about getting people to say yes. Once you're in front of them and you have a proposal or you're consulting with them. Again, amazing feedback, and people developing their kind of sales message. We had florists, we had financial advisors, we had estate agents, we had electricians, and I just love the diversity in the audience, and seeing them use the tools and craft their messages. Just been yeah, really enjoyed that. I need to do more of that.
Yeah. But are there any bottlenecks that consistently slow things down for you? Perhaps admin tasks, onboarding, keeping the clients engaged, or some.
Yeah, another good question. I think it's the onboarding, maybe the one that I'm really trying to. I'm trying to make the process easy, especially in the coaching front. That's probably the one where there's a bottleneck. Is how to make it easy for clients to come on board to say yes. So that's something I'm refining all the time. For me, it's all about relationships as well. So it's about having the discovery call. Usually, that's a complimentary call with someone. That's a cost to my time, and that's that. But I do love discovering about them because I'm not sure I'm the right fit yet. I don't know if I can help because I don't know what the issues are. They may not even think I'm a good fit for them. I mean, that could be a gender or a cultural thing. That's happened before. I may not have the right background, and if I'm not, I'm always happy to suggest someone who might be. So yeah, I think for coaches out there, it's looking at your process, your onboarding process, and how do we make it easy for people to come on board, to say yes, to sign up, to make a payment, all these kind of transactional things you have to think about. And that's generally where the bottlenecks lie.
Where inside client delivery do you spend the most manual time?
Again, you're making me think today, Laura. The most manual time. It's probably in the sort of preparation. It's in the thinking about delivering something, particularly those bespoke interventions. So I do a lot of team development. That's generally around strategy, like these away days, team building events. And again, there has to be a purpose behind that for me. So I need to find out what that is. So that is sort of initial consulting, and then putting something together looks really good. I generally do like a plan on a page or two, around the event and what the benefits will be, and how we'll measure that, with a suggestion of how I will run that, how will I deliver that. So that takes a bit of time, and then sometimes after it as well. So I have a project at the moment with a university. Love working with them, and it's a project around internal governance. How do they govern themselves, and the sort of compliance stuff, and the kind of more formal side of managing a faculty or a school. And there's been a fair bit after that, which is kind of pulling all the information from the away day and then kind of presenting a report. It's something where I must confess to using AI, to do that. So with my AI prompts, I kind of know what I'm looking for. So that has been a great time saver. You have to do your own thing on it. You have to read it, and you have to amend it and tweak it and make it sound like you. So there's still a bit of manual stuff in it, but it does, in terms of capturing outputs from a team away day, it's been brilliant for that. That saves a lot of time.
I'm curious, how do you currently approach outreach? Do you do like manual outreach? Do you work based on referrals? Do you run ads? Or where can you
Most of
get
those,
new clients?
you might have lost a connection, Laura.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you lost it there.
Okay. So, how do you currently approach outreach?
Yeah, good question. I think, and again, if any coaches listening out there probably need to find the right approach for them because we all maybe work differently. But probably having a mix of approaches. So I have referral marketing, so I belong to networking groups. So that's part of the strategy. Things like webinars, which can be a free webinar. I don't like using the free word, but sometimes it can be a complimentary webinar, or it's a low ticket webinar. So like the win that pitch, that sort of thing. LinkedIn as well. So it's one of the reasons I think you connected was I'm on LinkedIn, so I'm quite active on there and trying to add good stuff so people can see where you're coming from, what you do. Those are the main ones. I've haven't we have tried advertising in the past. I don't think it's the right route for us. Most of my consultancy work, especially in the higher education market where I work a lot, has been word of mouth. So it's stakeholder relationship, client management, keeping on their radar, saying how can I help, and building relationships that way. That's been over the last 10, 12 years. That's been really rewarding and it's been a rewarding space to work in.
Do you have any good advice for maybe younger coaches or professionals who dream about being a coach? What is
Yeah,
really
finally,
important?
yeah, and I get asked that quite a lot, Laura. In fact, I had a conversation with a colleague at university the other day. She was asking, how do you get into that coaching thing?" So there's a couple of things that I would say. One is yes, I think a lot of people could become coaches. We've all got skills and knowledge, and particularly people got good communication skills and good listeners and asking great questions like you do. That's certainly a good foundation for doing that. I think what I always encourage, and I encouraged the colleague the other day, was to think about some sort of niche or specialism, if you like. So we got talking about early career researchers and things like that. That was a kind of space that she could maybe inhabit and help people stepping into that research space. Which is great. So that gives you something to work on. And I always say to people, have fun with this because this is the fun bit. You could, because nobody's going to see this unless you put it out there. But you could actually do like a plan on a page, and I would suggest it's like a business plan on a page for being a coach or a consultant or whichever sphere you want to move into, and just develop the vision of what that looks like, which is a lot of fun. You're under no pressure, and you can like, well, this is the essence. This is the type of coach I become. My target audience would be like the early career researchers or whoever. You can absolutely decide who it is that you want to work with, and then just get out there and connect with people. And LinkedIn's a great platform to be able to do that. But I think you have to have a sense of what it is that you offer. If you're going to do this seriously, you have to have a good sense of what it is that you offer. You'll try things out. Some of them won't work. You'll kiss a lot of frogs, but you'll find the avenues that work for you, and you will probably shape your offer. When I first started, I had no idea. Looking back on it, a lot, it was quite embarrassing, really. I'd been a corporate trainer. Actually, I'd been a training manager. I was a national training manager. So I hadn't actually delivered anything, to people, face to face for a while. And then I thought, well, I'll just set out as a kind of freelance consultant trainer. But I didn't really know what I was doing. And I didn't, I remember someone saying to me, after a sort of business networking event, "John, nobody knows what it is you do," which is quite harsh, but fair feedback, I think. And so you have to really craft that message. And that's something I love doing it now. As I said before, I love helping people craft that message that they can go out to their target audience and really sell themselves with conviction. So that would be the main thing I say. Just sit with a blank piece of paper. Think about your skills, your strengths. Think about who you'd like to work with and why. Where would you most like to make a difference? And just develop a plan on a page and run it by someone like me. I'm always happy to have a conversation with people. I said, "John, when you have a look at this, what does it look like?" Run it by someone, get some feedback, and go from there. I hope that's been helpful in some sort of sense.
Good. Yeah, and I would add run it by someone who's a person, not AI.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, actually. I've been chatting to people in in HR. I've got friends that have HR businesses, and they're seeing a lot of that at the moment. The CVs and things which are plainly not written by a person.
Yeah, because I had a call a couple of hours ago with one coach, and yeah, she said that it's totally normal these days that people don't go to visit a psychologist or like a coach, but they try to
Wow.
write their problems into ChatGPT, which would be fine, but ChatGPT is like really supportive and it says yes to almost all of your ideas. So the
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
feedback isn't like
yeah,
true or real. So yeah.
yeah. I think it sounds like things we've seen on a science fiction called Black Mirror, Charlie Brooker, which is about the effect of technology on humans. And I think South Park actually did something recently with AI, and they were lampooning the fact that it says, "Yeah, great, go for it," and all this kind of stuff. So I think that's a brilliant point. Yeah, I think it's a useful tool. But I think when we're in this field of the sort of work that you and I do, it's about it's about relationships. The testimony of the lady that's written me that thing about it's been transformative for my leadership journey. That's purely based on the relationship that we had.
Mhm.
We had a strong rapport, and I was able to challenge her. And she said, "John, you're asking me questions that are really difficult. They're making me think." I don't think you're going to get that from technology, at least for a while.
Where do you want your company to be in the next 6 to 12 months?
6 to 12 months. Yeah, and I'll be honest here. We've got some immediate challenges around. We've been working in the higher education sector for a long time now in the UK, and it's in a bit of trouble at the moment financially. So that's fairly public knowledge. There's been a lot of media and press about it. So that's impacted on people like me because they just don't have budgets and things at the moment. So that is my immediate challenge. My hope for next year is to stabilize the ship, diversify some income streams. We've got like an online training platform and all sorts of things. So maybe build those up, and then so that we can just have that more solid footing, because I do love working in the sector, but when the sector's struggling, it means you're struggling as well. So yeah, we're working our way through that. That's the immediate challenge. So yeah, six months time, on a good footing, doing lots of different stuff that people enjoy, that I'm enjoying, and yeah, probably just that diversity of income and what we're doing there.
If you could wave a magic wand and remove one challenge in your business, except the thing that you just mentioned, what would this
Yeah, all right. What's the other thing? Sometimes it's these complex proposals. So any official, especially like public procurement or anything like that. I've always hated doing it. I've always hated doing a tender. We've been successful in a good few of them, but it always, sometimes you're like, it's a bit, when you're at school, you pick up the exam paper and look at it, and then your heart would just. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like picking up the exam paper, and you go, oh my goodness, and you spend a lot of time in it getting the answers together, pulling the information, the answers together. You can spend a lot of time doing it, and you've got a limited chance of winning it because there's other people in for the same piece of work. If there was another way of bypassing that altogether, that would be my magic wand. Or I'd say let's get rid of all that stuff, because it costs businesses, actually. It costs them a lot of money, and it costs them a lot of time.
Uh, okay. And for the last question, I would love to ask you, what is one thing that you wish you had known before or sooner?
Yeah, interestingly, I was at a seminar yesterday, um, and it's to do with public speaking. It's an association that helps with that. And we had a couple of guest speakers on, and absolutely hit the nail on the head in terms of knowing your value. I think for a long time I undersold myself, and probably underestimated the value that I do add to people. And again, for anyone out there watching this, that's gone in this field is to understand totally the value that you provide. It's not about the time that you spend. So if someone's asking you to do an hour, it's not about that hour. It's about the value that you provide someone with it within that hour. And I think the more we understand that, it gives us more confidence to move into those arenas to really sell what we do. Yeah, if looking back, that's maybe something I wish I'd latched onto that a bit earlier.
Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your knowledge and your experience with us. I'm really grateful.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Thank you. And where can people find you?
Yeah, a couple of places. I am on LinkedIn. John Drysdale on LinkedIn is probably the best place. I have my own website, johndrysdale.net, and there are some resources on there. So I have an ebook called Find Your Voice, which is all about having difficult conversations and being more confident in talking to people and colleagues. So johndrysdale.net is my own personal website. So love to hear from people on there. Download the ebook for free and let me know how you get on with that one.
Thank you. All right. Thank you and
Thank
have
you,
a
Laura.
wonderful day.
Great stuff.